Now, I just wanted to note four things that I noticed are changing here in Hawaii. The first thing is that it's getting a lot more crowded. I don't know if it's just me noticing this, maybe other people notice it too, but it's getting really crowded. When I grew up, there was traffic, but it wasn't crazy traffic. The traffic was definitely getting worse and worse over the years. I remember in high school, it sometimes it was so crazy. It would take me 20 minutes just to go like, I don't know, a mile or so. It was long, but nowadays, I feel like the traffic is everywhere and it's denser, if that's possible. But it's also gotten more crowded just around the island in general, hiking and shopping and all these other places that I remember going to. It's starting to get a little packed, and that's something that I guess as more and more visitors come. I mean, we're getting more visitors to Hawaii now than when I was a kid, but it just feels tighter. It just feels more crowded, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's good for the economy, I guess, but it's definitely, I think, putting a lot of pressure on local residents. The second thing is that housing has gotten a lot more expensive, and again, this is just in the past 7 years. I would say when I first moved here, housing was pretty expensive, but now it's almost unreachable. It's one of those things where if I have to look for a house now, there's nowhere I could live, which is weird because now I currently live in a place, but it's like 7 years ago it was fine, but now I, I would be priced out, and I think a lot of people would be priced out if they had to look at housing prices as they are today, not how they were 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, but today. I don't think most people could afford to live in Hawaii anymore. It just would be way too expensive. I mean, the average price of a house is 700, $800,000, and condos are about 420 or so $1,000, and it's so expensive to be able to buy a place now. So I noticed that, yeah, housing is very expensive. It's probably because the supply is not keeping up with the demand, but it's just gotten so expensive that I really don't know how people are going to be able to afford housing in the future. It's hard to do it now in the present, but how are they going to be able to afford it in the future? The third thing that I noticed in the past 7 years is that a lot of local businesses that were staples in the community, that were important to the community, have been closing down. And that's something where it's kind of strange because Hawaii has always been very community oriented. We love our restaurants. We love that certain place where you go and get snacks, or you go and get pastries, or you go and get like a drink, or you go and get breakfast. So we're very loyal, I think, to a lot of these smaller restaurants and these little mom and pop shops. But hearing some of these places close down, it kind of like gets me a little concerned because I'm thinking, okay, well, if this place that was around for like 30 years or 20 years, all of a sudden they're closing down. It didn't happen overnight that they just decided, yeah, I'm gonna quit, I'm done. It had to have been building up over time where they tried to keep going and tried to keep going, but they just couldn't make it anymore. And so I know that this problem isn't just happening now. It's been happening over the years, and I've noticed in the past at least 2 to 3 years, restaurants and businesses that I thought would never shut down, they've been closing. And I expect more businesses that are, very dear to local people to also be closing in the future, which is sad. And that makes me kind of wonder what that means for our local culture if we're losing some of our favorite places to go and eat. Doing business in Hawaii is very difficult, and I commend any small business owner who makes it here. It's just that, yeah, it's changing a lot. Like if you go down to Ward Village, that area is looking so different. I mean, they knocked down a couple of buildings so they could build some condos there, which is fine, but it's changing all these local businesses that were there for I don't know how long, but they're gone now. And it makes me kind of wonder, the next generation or the current generation, as they're growing up, that's the Hawaii that they're going to know. They're not going to know how this certain place used to be. They're going to know it as it will be with these big buildings, and you're not going to have like that family time. You go out, you go shopping, you go and eat. It's going to be a condo, and unless you live in it, you're not really going to go there anymore. So it makes me kind of wonder how this changing landscape is going to affect how future generations sort of experience growing up in Hawaii. And number four, Is it just me, or is there an increase in homelessness, car accidents, and pedestrian accidents? I don't know. I feel like we hear about that so much. I don't know if that's always happened where we've had this many accidents. Maybe I just didn't pay attention, and that's why it just seems like now there's so many more. But I feel like nowadays there's some kind of accident, some kind of fatality, pedestrian gets hit, homelessness issue. Like, I feel like that's been very common recently, especially in the past 7 years. I remember when I moved back in 2012, 2013, the homelessness problem in town was really bad. I was like shocked. I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I couldn't believe how bad it got because I was away for so long. It was really bad. And I don't know if it's getting better or worse, but it's something that I didn't realize was such a big issue growing up, and now I see it and I'm like, wow, it's hard to not see it anymore. And it's something that I know we're struggling with as a state. In terms of car accidents and pedestrian accidents, I don't know if it's because there's more traffic, if people are in a rush, people are distracted by driving, but it seems like something where, yeah, there's just so many accidents. If you go look on the news, it seems like every week there's a major accident, and it's usually someone who died or someone who got really injured, and it's almost like it's preventative. It's not like a real, like, an accident where, oh, they didn't see each other and there was an accident. It was more like something like distracted or drunk driving or driving without a license, or one of those types of things where it seems so preventative, and yet these accidents sort of keep happening. And I don't know if that's because I pay attention more to the news now than I did 7 years ago, but I just noticed that that's something I see a lot more often. So those are the things that I noticed. It's been 7 years in Hawaii. I think that's a pretty good run. Again, I grew up here, so I had about 18 years, and then during my college years, I had, off and on, I'd come back home to Hawaii. But now that I'm here permanently and I'm trying to do it as a grown up, pay my mortgage, have a real job, work, live, play here, it's very different. But I'm very happy and excited, and frankly very blessed. And I know how hard it is for some families to be here, how hard it is for some people to be here. But for me, I'm glad that I'm able to make it. So thanks for watching this video, and aloha.